In all other ways, this Shabbat is like any other Shabbat in the life of our congregation. Actually, that's not true. It's the Shabbat after Yom Kippur, gives it a completely different feeling. And in any case, I'm going to be selfish for a moment. Every Shabbat is special, but this one carries a special anticipation for me. It's my first bat mitzvah. So, here at New Reformed Temple. I've done a few, but here at New Reformed Temple. And tomorrow, Zoe takes her place as a Jewish adult. So tonight, as we welcome Shabbat together, I want to speak about balance. Balance is not only a theme in the Jewish tradition, but it's also, in a way, the heart of Jewish living. Our tradition teaches that life is not lived at the extremes, but in the middle path, characterized by the back and forth rhythm of joy and sorrow, work and rest, self and community. I'm going to start with the Hasidic story. Rabbi Simcha Bunim of Peshicha, his students once asked how he managed to live with such serenity. And he reached into his pocket and pulled out a slip of paper, and on it were written the words, "For my sake, the world was created." And then he reached into his other pocket and drew out another piece of paper, "I am but dust and ashes." On the one hand, for my sake, the world was created, and on the other hand, I am but dust and ashes. And he explained, when I feel low and worthless, I take out the first slip and remind myself that life matters. When I feel proud and inflated, I take out the second slip and remember that I'm no more than dust and ashes. And between these two truths, I find balance. It's an honest story. I mean, the reality is we all swing between extremes at times. I mean, that calm middle path is a hard thing to find, if it even exists. We can hope to get close to it, but I don't know if it even exists. Some days we feel like Bunim, like Rabbi Simcha, that we don't really matter. Like the world barely notices us, and other days we're tempted to believe the whole world's about us, like I just did a moment ago. So Rabbi Simcha Bunim offers not a magic cure, but a daily practice to keep both truths in your pocket and pull out whichever one restores balance. And the same wisdom runs through the book of Ecclesiastes, in Hebrew Kohelet. And in the book, it's traditionally ascribed to King Solomon. It wasn't written by King Solomon, in any case. We all know this one, by the song written by Pete Seeger, not all of us, and made famous by the Byrds, right? To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. In other words, a very simple truth, life is not one-sided. There are times in a family when laughter fills a house, birthdays, weddings, summer vacations, and there are times when sorrow arrives, illness, loss, disappointment. And congregations know these seasons too. Some years are marked by growth, joy, and energy. Others are quieter and more difficult. And the wisdom of Ecclesiastes is that no one season defines us. Life's a rhythm. The one who mourns today may laugh tomorrow, and the one who feels depleted today may flourish the day after. And to live well is to honor all of these seasons, not to cling to one or despair in the other. And that's balance, to live fully in the present, living in the present. A really hard thing to do. What does the future bring? The future brings worry and anxiety. What does the past bring? Reflection upon all our mistakes. Living in the present is a nice, calm place in between. Our tradition goes further. Maimonides, the great scholar, arguably, of the whole entire Jewish tradition, an absolute genius, lived in the 12th century, wrote a book called the Mishneh Torah, which was a complete codification of Jewish law before he was 30. This guy was a scholar. And he called this Derech HaEmsa, the middle path, the middle way. You know where he gets this one from? Let's just say it, Aristotle. That's where he gets it from. Maimonides loves Aristotle. And he argued that holiness is not found in extremes, but in moderation. Take generosity. If you give nothing, your heart hardens. If you give everything, you exhaust yourself and cannot sustain the giving. And the balanced path is steady, thoughtful generosity. Or take courage. Pretending you feel no fear that's just recklessness. Being ruled by fear is paralysis, and true courage lies in the middle, acknowledging the fear, but acting with resolve nonetheless. And Maimonides knew that human beings naturally lean towards extremes. That's why he counseled this purposeful correction. Whenever you're leaning one direction, lean the other, seemingly simple. And for him, holiness was not asceticism and not indulgence. You know, how many fast days are there in Judaism? Not a whole lot, and it's for a reason. We're not supposed to starve ourselves, and ultimately we're also not supposed to indulge ourselves. A glass of wine on Shabbat's great. Hey, 4 on Passover, right? So there's more than that on Purim. So there's 2 days a year where we're supposed to get nice and, a little buzzed or one completely wasted. But ultimately, the other days we're supposed to be balanced and, not drink it all or drink a little bit. And this is true for us in the 21st century as it was in his time. Think about our work lives. For some of us, the temptation is to overwork, letting all the deadlines, and really the overwork comes from wanting more and wanting more and wanting more and wanting more. And for others, avoidance is the issue. Procrastination, distraction that keeps us away from our emotions, and ultimately a failure then to step forward as our true selves. Balance is not only healthier, it's holier. All right, we're going to move to the future. Positive psychology, which played a role in one of my high holiday sermons as well. Martin Seligman and others pioneered positive psychology, which is the study, what is traditional psychology about? It's everything that goes wrong, right? It focuses on that and trying to fix everything that goes wrong. And instead, what Seligman says is, why don't we just focus on flourishing as well, not just what's wrong? And he found 3 essential ingredients for well-being: pleasure, not indulgence, pleasure; engagement, being involved in the world; and meaning. Pleasure is the joy of life's small gifts, not the extreme again, whether it's the taste of food, the sound of music, or the laughter of friends. Engagement is deep focus, deep involvement, that feeling that we get when we are just absolutely absorbed in something. Meaning, like learning, for me anyway, creativity, or even a challenge. And meaning is the sense that our lives connect to something bigger than ourselves, whether that's family, community, God, values, a lot of possibilities. And any one of these pursued alone leads to imbalance. A life of only pleasure becomes shallow. A life of only engagement becomes exhausting. A life of only meaning becomes ultimately joyless, but together in balance, they create what he calls flourishing. And I'm going to make a claim here that this is something Jewish, or at least something Maimonidean. We're not a people of extremes. We do not flee the world to seek holiness. And, this is something that people say to me over and over again that they really like about Judaism. Judaism is this worldly religion primarily. It's really focused on what we do here. It's not focused on any reward we get or any afterlife. I mean, ultimately, like, what do rabbinic texts say about the afterlife? The whole Talmud, pretty much nothing. There are no descriptions of it whatsoever. And why? So, because we're supposed to focus on this world. If something good happens when we die, great, but this world is what it's all about. All right, digression. Engagement is the deep focus we experience when we're fully, I just jumped back into the wrong place here. So we have to find this balance, ultimately, between all of these things. Shabbat, ultimately, is a real powerful teacher about balance. It's not a psychologist. It's not a philosopher. It's Shabbat. It's an experience. 6 days we work, strive, create, and build. On the seventh we rest. And the rhythm is built into creation, the story of creation itself, right? 6 days God worked, on the seventh he rest. And that's the source of the commandment. Without work, we'd never feel any sort of sense of accomplishment. And without rest, well, we'd collapse. I can say that. I'm getting pretty close right now. Only together do we create wholeness. Shabbat is not just a pause in the week. It's a recalibration, a weekly reminder that life is not sustainable in extremes. Work and rest, effort and renewal, striving and savoring, ultimately belong together. All right. Back to Zoe, even though I talked about me mostly at the beginning. So I'm going to speak to you for a second. So tomorrow you're going to stand right here. You didn't say V'ahavta, I skipped you.
She's very excited.
She got out of it. She was very excited about that. Well, I guess you'll get to do it tomorrow, in any case. My apologies. A rookie mistake. Tomorrow you're going to stand on this bima as a bat mitzvah. And tonight we can pause and take in this moment with you. It's the calm before the celebration. I almost said the calm before the storm. It's not a storm tomorrow. You're going to do great. And ultimately, I hope some anticipation and probably a little bit of nerves. The two go together. A neuroscientist told me it's the same place in the brain where we feel excitement and where we feel anxiety. It's the exact same function neurologically. It's just a matter of how we choose to experience it ultimately. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're nervous, try to go to the excitement, although that one's probably going to be a little bit hard. So I hope that you hold the balance that our tradition teaches, that you learn to balance joy and responsibility. May you live a life of giving and receiving, dreaming and doing. And may tonight bring you some peace along with those nerves. And may tomorrow bring you only joy and ahead of you strength, wisdom, and balance. So mazel tov to you, Zoe, and Shabbat shalom.